everyone. Welcome to the My Spectrum Life podcast. My name is Jessica. I'm an autism mom, and with me is my lovely co-host Kelsey. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing better. Recovery keeps on a trucking, so life is good.
Good.
Hey, as you can tell by my background, I'm in a new spot now, and that means I have
Yay.
climbed. I'm upstairs. I've climbed the
Yes.
steps. I'm in our what we're it's my husband's office for our home business, but we're calling it our studio.
So you made it up to the studio. That's awesome.
Yes. So
Awesome.
that is actually a goal that I've accomplished now. So it's good. So
Yay. How's
yeah,
that make you feel?
it's good. But then I'm overwhelmed because I have a room that is our school room and my craft room and the stuff like that. And wow.
Need some help?
I walked in there and it was like after 6 weeks of not being in there, and I was like, oh no, I am in so much trouble.
As my mom says, you just need to put on the husband glasses. Have you ever seen that video? There's a video where the trash can's completely full
Uh,
and the husband comes around and says, "No, it's not." And so there's glasses that she puts on and it mimics the husband's. And she goes look at the trash can and it's not full. So you need to put on the husband's glasses when you walk through your room, and it's completely put away and everything. So
Derek's over here shaking his head. No, it's not. No, it's not.
it's good.
Oh goodness. Oh well. As you guys saw from our, we'll get actually back to reality.
Right.
Oh, as you saw from our little post today, we're going to be talking a little about self care and how important that is. I was thinking that we talked to my daughter, then we talked to my husband, then we talked to my autistic son. And then it's like, I can't leave us as autism moms out or you as a therapist out and what we need to do to help ourselves. And I thought, and even right now, it's so important that we do something for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is the definition of self care. So,
Correct.
um, and we were gonna let's see, I guess the way to introduce this is instead of being so much on the teaching end of things,
Mm-hmm.
we decided to go more on the practical side.
Yes. Yes, we
And
did.
so we're going to do our term of the day, I guess is what we're going to call it now, maybe.
Term of the
I
day,
don't know.
vocabulary of the day. I don't know.
Something. We'll play with that a little bit. So what's our word today?
Comorbidity.
Can
Um,
you
comorbid or comorbidity
core
comorbidity.
morbidity?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
This means when you have two diagnoses together or
And it
more.
can, okay, or more. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like, so for instance, a lot of times you'll find, autistic children will be very anxious a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll find that you'll get a diagnosis of autism and
Mm-hmm.
generalized anxiety disorder,
Correct.
um,
Or autism and intellectual disability. Like,
or autism and ADHD, or
mm-hmm.
and sensory processing disorder, or what have you.
Correct.
A lot of different things, um, and that kind of falls into some of the stuff we were both researching today about stress levels.
Correct.
So if back in 2009 or 2010, I think the study was actually published in 2010. Is that what
Correct.
you
It
saw?
was, yes, 2010.
Um, so the university, I think it was the University of Wisconsin Madison or something like that. Um,
Well, cons. Yes. Yes.
um, I'm pulling from. I read so many things and Um, I actually read through the whole study of a couple of these. So yeah,
Math is overblown in your head right now,
and
statistically overwhelmed.
statistics and because of this and that and blah blah blah, there was a lot of it's a technical, the actual study paper, and there's a
Okay.
lot of technical stuff in it. So, um, but there was a meme that came out that talked about the stress level of autism moms and combat soldiers.
Okay.
When I got to, I read through all this stuff, and I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled. I found at the bottom they were actually checking cortisol levels.
And cortisol is.
It's the chemical that is released in your body that has to deal with stress. And I can't remember the scientific. Anyway, so it was talking about the actual cortisol profile.
Okay.
And this is what it said. It says this cortisol profile, then there was a little bit in there about the jargon that, so this cortisol profile is similar to findings on other groups experiencing chronic stress, including parents of children with cancer, combat soldiers, Holocaust survivors, and individuals suffering from PTSD.
Wow.
So, wow.
Wow. Every time I even hear that, similar. So that means autism moms and those who are survivors or PTSD. So you're telling me that the levels are very similar,
Yeah.
as the same as if you even went through combat.
Yeah. The cortisol profile is, the levels are very similar. So, I've thought about that before once I've seen that. And I've thought, okay, so how does that actually, the correspondence of a combat soldier and an autism mom?
Right.
So, like a very extremely loose comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Soldiers have to be very vigilant and very aware of their surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
We as autism moms have to do the same thing. We do not go into any social situation without assessing the room.
Right.
Okay, you go into a restaurant, you want to sit down. If you can, go into a restaurant, sit down. With these times, you look at the room, you try to find where in the world you can sit without something causing a problem.
Right.
So you have to be aware of your surroundings. We're prepared for anything. We try to mentally prepare for anything. But sometimes we just can't.
Right.
The other thing is we pack. I've seen the meme of an autism parent and the backpack. It's like four
This
times.
big. It's
Yes.
like so full. It's
Yep.
great. It's great.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like
This
that's
why
sometimes-
minivans come into play, and the whole back of the minivan is packed.
Yeah, I mean, oh goodness. Yeah, the only reason mine is empty right now is because my husband has been using it to haul some lumber. So, oh goodness. So, regardless of any of this, we all need some self-care.
Right.
That was something that has come out. I've read this, I've seen this in so many things. And I don't know about you, but for a while I just thought, it's not for me. I don't have time for that.
Find time.
I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm working on it. I went through a special training through my church recently, and it was about being somebody to help others that are hurting. And it was one of the things that they talked about was self-care. And there were two things that I took away from that was so important. The first one was, do not feel guilty for taking time for yourself. I think as autism moms, we feel guilty if somebody says, oh, you need to take some time for yourself, and you kind of think about it and you hope that you would. But then if you're away for any time, you're like, you feel so guilty for not being there and offering support and doing what you can for your kid.
Right.
And then the other thing that they said was to schedule time, to make sure you had that time scheduled, and not to feel guilty if you had it on your schedule for 3 p.m. on Friday and somebody calls you and says, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, or whatever, don't feel guilty to tell them no and say no because you need that time.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
you don't
so.
have to explain it either. You can be like, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, that's a couple of things that I'm going to try to put in my schedule. And then I was thinking, the two of us were thinking, actually, today we were going back and forth about our topic. And we thought, hey, what are some of the things that we do that we could do that would help? So, what's something that you think of to do to kind of just chill and relax?
In a moment that I can't get away and I only have like 5 minutes, I'll slip and go take a walk and just eat a piece of chocolate real quick.
Ah.
And then just come back and I'm in a whole different mind frame. And on that 5 minute walk, I compartmentalize. I literally block everything out mentally. I go to what is known as my escape place.
Mm-hmm.
I have a favorite place that I go and I will not share it just because it's for me only. And if I share it, I feel like it's going to lose its
You're right. Right. Oh, yeah.
specialness. But if you find a place that literally, even if you're driving,
Mm-hmm.
driving sometimes real quick, they're in the car. It's going to be okay. They're in the car. They're in a controlled environment. It's okay to be like, okay, I'm going to go back into my special place, whatever it may be. It may be imagining that you're a river, like fishing on a river or things like that, and just kind
Mm-hmm.
of take that mental break and just
Yeah.
put everything out, which is really hard as a mom.
Oh,
As a
goodness.
teacher
Yes.
and a therapist, it was hard,
Mm-hmm.
but not as the level of you guys go through. I can always walk away from it because at the end of the day, it is a job. It's not
Mm-hmm.
my blood. Um,
Yeah.
I know for long term, I actually like to four wheel. I actually have one of my helmets. It's pretty muddy. Um,
All
but we
right.
four wheel. We actually go four wheeling to release some of those adrenaline rushes
Mm-hmm.
that we're looking for to increase those endorphins.
Yeah.
Um, what do you do?
Well, lately I've gone back to one. See, I'm a crafter. And so I do just about everything. I can sew,
Right,
I can scrapbook, I can do that. But lately, one of the things, I can't sit and watch television without doing something because I feel like, there's only certain
right,
times if I'm at home that I can sit and not have something in my hands or be doing something.
right.
So I've taken up crocheting. This is one of the projects that I'm working on. It's a little bottle holder.
That is so cute.
I'm learning new stitches and stuff like that. And so
Right.
um, that's always fun to do.
It is.
Um, I have a Cricut, learning to do different things with that.
Love that.
Sometimes that can be, that may not be something people can do.
Right.
I know when people think self care, they always think, oh, I got to do something healthy.
Mm,
No, you don't. But
you
if you
don't.
think you do, drink your water.
Drink water. Um,
Get a special cup that makes you feel good when you look at it. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan, and so I have my, my baby Yoda species cup, whatever. The child. That's what's the proper name of it. So it makes me happy when I look at my cup.
there you go. So you find
You know?
happiness in small moments, and I think that's really key
Mm-hmm.
to life and key to help with the stress levels is to
Mm-hmm.
find some of the small moment happiness to indulge in those happiness, and you're allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. I know another thing that I do, or that I should do more often. Nikki loves to paint her nails.
I just did mine.
See,
I just
I
did
need to do
mine.
mine. Maybe next week I'll have mine done, but pick yourself up a 99-cent bottle of
Mm-hmm.
nail polish. You
Exactly.
know, turn on your favorite show on TV after the kids have gone to bed, watch
Mm-hmm.
that and paint your nails.
Pay your nose. Exactly.
Um, I know we both like tea, right?
We do. I love herbal
Buy,
teas.
yeah, I'm partial to, and I didn't like this when I was there. I spent some time in South Africa. And I did not know, but I have learned to drink red rooibos tea.
Yum.
My friends in South Africa would be so proud of me that I actually drink it. But yeah, I try to drink a cup of that every night to kind of relax, to help myself relax. I actually put some copaiba essential oil in it too,
Right.
um, to just kind of chill. I don't know, hop drinks. I once had a coworker that would, every time things got stressful, she would bring me a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And she was like, and it kind of goes with that saying, chocolate and coffee cure everything.
They do.
Uh, I know we're both avid readers.
We are.
Um, and I've decided I need to read something other than our autism books. We've been reading a lot of nonfiction lately. Um, I mean, I thought as a, so I have a degree in, so I have basically two degrees, but it's, whatever. I have enough credits. It was ridiculous. I'm an overachiever. So I had, one of my degrees, I have a history and I have a English, more of an English lit degree.
Okay.
And so, like in one of our, senior classes, they gave us this list of influential authors and stuff you should read.
Right.
I've tried to do some. So a while back, I picked up a copy of Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Go to the library and grab a book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you
Or
found anything that?
Amazon
Oh yeah.
with
What are you
Audible.
reading?
Um, I'm actually reading a romance novel book. I don't have
Oh,
it with
cool.
me. But I'm
Oh, I
reading.
do some of those too.
I love the romance because I can just escape in a whole nother world, and you literally block everything out, and you
Mm-hmm.
escape. And that's the key is finding those hobbies and those outlets.
Mm-hmm.
What else are you reading?
Well,
I have the.
so this book is actually White by Ted Decker, and Kelsey's going crazy because she has my copy of Black.
I still do. Still do.
It's a series that I started on, and I talked to Kelsey about it when she was at my house doing ABA therapy, and I said, "Here, borrow the book." And Curtis had to read for 20, 30 minutes a day,
Correct.
and so it was like, "Here, read while he's reading," because you can't. I mean, what are you
can't
gonna do?
read.
Stare at the kid?
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, I love to read. You know, some things that are kind of like fantasy. I mean, I've read The Hobbit and Leo and The Lord of the Rings. I like to
Right.
challenge myself to read the books before I watch the movies. I did one time with my kids, and I haven't done it with my with Curtis and Nikki yet, or I think we kind of did. So I'm reading through the Chronicles of Narnia with them. So we'd read like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Right.
and then watch the movie and compare the book and the movie, compare and contrast those two. It's kind of a fun activity to do. I don't know, when I do that and the kids, if I am able to, they either snuggle up in my big king size bed with me or on the couch with me to watch the movie. And even though it may be, sometimes we think that reading out loud, we get all the papers from school. Reading aloud to your kids helps them with their testing scores, blah blah blah. But it's also a good,
Session.
yeah. It's actually kind of self-care for you and your kids at the same time.
Time. Right.
It's that connection you can have with them.
Yes.
And that's so amazing to be able to connect sometimes. And to cherish. I mean, right now things have kind of slowed down, so we can cherish those cuddle moments,
Right.
which is just amazing. Another thing we can do is, oh gosh, one of the things I was randomly thinking about because I've been crocheting, been looking at lots of patterns, and my husband just built me this awesome china cabinet. I thought, you know what? since we're all home, we can, and this could be self-care. If you love to cook and cooking is something that you really like,
Yeah.
try a new recipe.
Mhm.
And isn't cooking something that can be helpful for your autistic child?
It can, because you're working measurements and things like that and talking,
Mm-hmm.
working those nonverbal cues. I just bought my husband two new cookbooks, just because we like to cook in the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen. It's our way of actually taking care of our own selves, self
Mm-hmm.
care. And we're laughing and giggling and just creating those memories that,
Mm-hmm.
we love it. I
Yeah. And then,
absolutely love it.
um, ooh, Terry says The Boy Who Felt Too
Felt
Much
too
by
much.
Lorenz Wagner is a good one that she just read. I'm going to put that on my list because I'm all about all sorts of books. Um, yeah, my husband actually has to build me another bookcase because I have so many books. I was telling a friend the other day that unpacking the books felt so good because it was like unpacking and
Right.
seeing my friends. Because there's just some of those books that you read that mean so much to you.
Mhm.
Um, and, you know, having books like that you can pass on or read to your kids is something special that can be self care and a way to connect with both of them.
Mhm.
Um, gosh, cooking, I thought, well, you could also, you know, dress up really nice for dinner just because and use
Yes.
the fine china just because
Yes.
if you have it, you know, or
Role play.
whatever, you know.
Dress up as your favorite. How many times when we watched Lilo and Stitch for the very first time, I got invited to a movie night with
Mhm.
y'all with Curtis, and Curtis comes down and he's in his Lilo and Stitch
Yes.
PJs, and I was like, "Let me guess, we're watching Lilo and Stitch." She goes, "How'd you know?" And, oh, it made my day. To this day, I harp on it. It's one of my favorite memories to tell.
Oh.
But it's things like that because you go back,
Mhm.
because the thing is the reason why we tell you about all these self-care is sometimes you need that time just to go back and be like, you know what's a good thing that we did today? Oh yeah,
Mhm.
we did Lilo and Stitch and he came down, and you
Mhm.
focus on the good more than the negative or whatever is
Mhm.
stressing you out.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. One of the things that my one thing that I like to do that is good
mhm.
for me that has it's not only self care but it's also kind of my I don't know, it helps me with my pain is I love to soak. It is not I take an Epsom salt bath. I
So
just soak. Just soak. One of my
and
favorite things
so
in the world is to soak and have a bowl of ice cream and a cup of hot tea.
oof, and just have
Life
that
is
time.
good.
Life is good. So how do you when you do relax, how do you shut off the what you're about to step next into? How do you turn off the next step? How do you just live in the moment?
It's really hard for me to do because it's hard to turn off that. Okay, what's next? What are we gonna do?
Right.
I know the one thing that I have. I mean, today I actually feel a whole lot better than I have in a long time because I actually slept until 8:30, which is a shock. Um, you know, and having just being able to sleep and just sleep is
Right.
amazing. You know, if you're a mom with little ones, that's usually not the case. Naps are good though.
Take a nap with your child.
Yeah, but to turn off and stuff, my brain, I like to do either read or work on a crochet pattern or something. But one of the things that I mean, Derek and I every night
Mhm.
we watch a couple of shows, and lately we've been watching. We went through a police drama, and then now we're watching something sci-fi-ish. You know, sometimes putting ourselves into watching a scenario or a situation that is not where we live.
Mhm.
I know there's a currently, or I think it's still, there's a drama about autism on a major network, and we had to turn it off because I mean, we couldn't watch it any longer because
Right.
we lived it every day.
Day. It's the one.
And
It's
so,
the same one I was watching today, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally understood why, those in the law enforcement field never watch shows. They have to deal with the law enforcement, or military personnel don't watch anything that has to deal with the military because they get it all wrong, and or sometimes it's just the stress of, yeah, I've been there, I've done that, and it's not entertaining to watch something you live.
No,
Um,
I can't
so
watch
finding
super shows.
finding some appropriate, finding
Right.
appropriate entertainment um, is a great way for us to turn it off, or we start going into the technicalities of how something is made, a movie is made or something. Hey, they did not light that right. They didn't, the continuity in
Right.
scenes and stuff like that. That's just something that we like to do. But there's so many things that we just need to try
Right.
to pick up and do. You know,
Lewis and I research our favorite bands.
there you
And
go.
so we'll watch interviews and we'll just take a night, and before we know it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but we're
Mm,
so immersed in listening to the music. Oh, I like how he said that. And we start talking and getting to know their person, because sometimes we found out that we actually stopped listening to some music because we didn't like who they were
mm,
off the stage, and we
yeah,
just found some of that. Another big one, I've found it comforting, is to find comfort in my faith,
right.
and just take that time and just to get to know the word and
Hmm.
know faith and just trust in him.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
something, you know.
yeah. I know that a lot of times it's very difficult to go back to church. In some
Right.
areas you can't. In some areas, like our church that we attend, has to follow a very strict protocol for you to
Hmm.
attend. Loving the fact that there is digital ways for us to do that.
Right.
You know, join a virtual Bible study,
Right.
or that can help. I actually started with my crocheting. I found a group, a magazine that I subscribed to, and they had a Facebook group, and all they talk about is crocheting, and it's positive.
And nothing.
That has been so uplifting in the midst of all the turmoil that's going on, and
Right.
hey, it's great to scroll through some craft projects or something instead
Right.
of until you hear something breaking out about whatever it is for 5 minutes. Look at, the Facebook group on scrapbooking or crocheting or what have you, you
Right.
know, or in your group that you have that's, for your church or a Bible study or whatever that you find that helps you to
Be
have
kind.
those moments.
Hmm.
That's what you got to do. And even if it is just 5 minutes, focus on that and find the positive.
Find the positive. In other words, be kind and have grace with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind
Mm-hmm.
to yourself. That's a big one that I've, what, well, I don't know, I'm about to hit my 30s. I think
Mm-hmm.
it took me this long to know how to be kind to myself and not be so
Yeah.
hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I think once I started being kind to myself, I think that helped. Even with the kids, being around the kids, it helped. It was allow yourself to be more jovial, to laugh a lot more, to laugh at, nah, that's just silly. We're not going to critique it or not going
Mm-hmm.
to change that dynamic. Because as a therapist, it's hard to not overstep your boundary in changing the dynamic of the child,
Mm-hmm.
but also keeping that personality, making sure that, hey, these are the mores of society, these are the rules of society. Let's find that gray area between the two
Mm-hmm.
and figure it out. And there's some days where you just had to laugh. And I
Yeah.
love laughing. And you just laugh at anything and everything. You make jokes. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
if you can find the joke and it's somebody who confine you can confine in, that's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be like, oh, that's inappropriate, but sometimes you just got to joke about it. It's like,
Yeah.
dude.
You just gotta laugh at yourself.
Laugh,
Yeah.
and
And
just be kind to yourself.
and I know that in the moment as autism moms and stuff, we can be a little bit, oh, it's so stressful being somewhere in public and something happening. But it's okay to come home and then afterwards kind of think about the event and instead of critiquing, instead, well, I could do this, this, and this better to make this. Yeah, just laugh at yourself. It's okay. You know,
Some days you're going to get it and some days you aren't.
exactly.
I remember teaching my very first time. Oh, it went kadunk. It was a flunk. It was bad. I'm like, we sound good on paper, but I was just like, no, all I could do was just laugh. And
Yeah.
every time whenever I meet my new students or new kids, I literally tell them about, look, I'm going to make mistakes. And let me tell you about this one time where I totally flunked my first teaching lesson. And it just creates that laughing moment because humor is the best medicine. It really is.
And sometimes even if your autistic kid is laughing about something that's not exactly funny, just laugh.
Laugh with them. Yeah.
Laugh with them.
Yep.
Oh,
Because I have
goodness.
found that because I remember working with some of my kids. Some of my kids would laugh and I would laugh with them. And then when they stop laughing, I'm like, okay, so I laughed, you laughed. What was wrong with it? What would have been a better time? And so like we were able to like connect and just laugh with it. And then later on, we'll just start even laughing even more and just turn into this whole giggle session. But
Which
the
is-
thought, it just went.
Yep.
Yeah. Being flexible with yourself is key too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting a personal care assistant. I remember I was actually a personal care assistant way before I became an ABA therapist. And I was trained through the insurance and through my degree how to work with kids with autism. So I got hired on as a personal care assistant. So I would watch these two twins and these twins fed off of each other. Once you got one calm, the other one would go. And so normally you would have two PCAs there because they would separate it.
Yeah.
But it allowed the parents to go off for like 4 or 5 hours for a date night, knowing that when they came back, their babysitter was highly qualified. And I remember talking to them they, for the first time when they first went through it, they went through guilt of, I don't like this person because they're so-and-so. And after a couple times of doing that repetition, they finally found the couple that actually would work with their family. And they're like, you know what? I don't feel as guilty because now it works with my family. It works with our dynamics and our beliefs. And so you're allowed to be picky. You're allowed to be picky.
And now I think we had a potential of having that through a waiver with the Medicaid program in South Carolina. I'm not sure if they have it here. You'd have to check with your state and don't be afraid to ask your Medicaid person, your caseworker, if there's waivers and things like that for you, because it's needed, it really is. So there's just a few ways that you can get some self-care to help yourself out to kind of relax. I know it's tough. It's so tough to try to do it right now. In this time, but we can do it. We can do it.
Saying set boundaries.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I that came throughout that training that I thought was very interesting was that there's boundaries that you can set. I mean, it's hard to set boundaries with your kids.
Right.
I mean, if you've got toddlers, there's just probably not a whole lot you can do.
Your privacy just goes out the door.
Yeah. But my kids, they're old enough. They can stay out of the bathroom. That's a rule. Stay out of the bathroom. Leave me alone.
Right.
But there are certain things in certain places. I mean, I guess for a therapist, that would be highly something that you would need to do would be to figure out your boundaries of what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say.
There has been times. There's been times where I have said, hey, you know what? You need a time to cool down. I need a time to cool down. Let me model it. And I would just walk away and be like, okay, I'll be right back. Let me go to the car. Because there's been even times during teaching, during my planning
Mm-hmm.
period, I would just go hang out in my car, just changing the scene and just
Mm-hmm.
walking away for a few minutes and coming back. It's not that you're walking away from the problem, you're walking away to deflect and get your stress levels under control to go back.
Right.
It's good for the kid to see that. That's
Yeah.
when parents say, well, I don't want to show emotion. No, this is the right time to show emotion. Now, do they need to know all about all the stress and the get goes about the traumas and everything going around?
Yeah. Nah.
No, but they can know that you are upset and be like, you know what? Let me go cool down. Let me show you how to handle
Yeah.
it and model it. In itself is very relaxing because you get to take that time and just,
Mm-hmm.
I need my time.
Mm-hmm.
And a kid will understand that. A kid will respect that. Doesn't matter if they're on a spectrum or not, severe or not.
Yeah.
They will totally understand that.
Yeah.
They will. That
Yeah, I
empathy is
know.
there.
Yeah, I know that there are quite a few times that I have to tell Curtis, go upstairs to your room, go to your little hidey place. He's got a little room in his
Right.
under the stairs of his new loft bed. He can go in there and shut himself down, or it used to be get in your swing to calm himself down, so that he didn't, and I knew I couldn't reason with him or anything, so it's go calm yourself down, and then we could reason and go through with it, and he's even learned now to go do that by himself, which is a huge thing.
Huge achievement.
Huge.
Congratulations.
Um,
Huge.
well, and that's one of the other things is we've got to celebrate the small, tiny little things, the tiny achievements that nobody else can see or really matter to anybody.
But they matter to you, and that's what
Yes,
matters.
we've got to celebrate them, and maybe start a journal and write those things down on such and such a date.
Yeah.
Learn to do this.
Actually, I bought this a long time ago. It says sunshines makes me happy, but bought this a long time ago. In here is all different kind of memories my kids have actually written in it,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just like like what they found successful. So when I'm having a hard day,
Mm-hmm.
I just flip back through it and I'd be like, you know what? This is why I do what I do. This is
Yeah,
what
that's cool.
it is cool. It's called a memorabilia, I think, or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
They actually recommend it when I went through all my trainings. They actually recommend it for therapists and teachers to have something like that
Wow.
you could just pull out on a really
Mm-hmm.
hard day and just be like, you know what? And
Yeah.
that's why I scrapbook. I scrapbook
Yeah.
so I can
Well,
give them the same kind of memories.
yeah. Yeah. Pictures of the days that, we had a lot of fun or we did something cool.
Right.
Um, Putting them down and recording those memories. It's good for us. That's self care,
Hmm.
you know. So there's so many things that can be self care to help people, to help you just escape and kind of bring that cortisol level down.
Running's another one. Working out.
Oh yeah.
There's a whole different one. Just whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly. I physically can't do that. So have fun running.
I will.
I'm not going to walk. Thanks.
Uh,
Oh, goodness. Well, I hope that this conversation tonight has spurred anybody on to remember to do something that will help them bring that stress level down,
right.
and just to kind of chill just a little bit. I know it's hard, but we can do it, and it's going to be beneficial in the long run.
You will.
So, if there are any other topics you would like us to talk about, please email us at info@myspectrumlife.com, or any comments that you might have. Where can they find us on social media?
They can find us on Facebook.com/MySpectrumLife, Instagram.com/MySpectrumLife, and Twitter.com/MySpectrumLife with the number 1.
Awesome. Well, we hope that this has been helpful for y'all tonight, and or whenever you have a chance to listen to it, if it's just or watch. I always forget that. But as we say, with a whole lot of faith, love,
Yep.
and a bunch of fidget toys, and maybe a little self-care in there, we'll make it.
We will make it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.